Hi everybody! Wedding season started for us a few weeks ago, and so I thought that this would be a good time to do a tutorial on our wedding workflow. Now we've got a really busy wedding season ahead of us, which is amazing. Shout out to all my 2016 brides. But I was worried as I started taking all of these bookings that I would struggle to stay on top of things and still managing to have a good work-family balance. So I spent the last off season trying to come up with a really effective workflow so that I'd make it through the season with my sanity. I've only been using this system for a couple of months now as we started to get busy again, and I'm sure that there will be kinks to work out, but so far I've seen a really drastic change in my turnaround time, which is a win-win situation for our couples who get their files quicker and also for me because I can move on to new things. So you'll have to excuse if this video seems really choppy. I'm no pro at splicing together videos, but we're going to take you from the very beginning to the very end of a wedding to show you how we've been doing things, how we've implemented small changes to make big differences in how we process our files. So I'm going to start this video pretty much the same way that I've started every other tutorial that I've done, by saying that there are a million different ways to do everything, and this is my way. I like to learn through trial and error, so there are probably better methods for your workflow, but these are the ones that I've found to be effective for me. The first thing that I did with my file that I'm going to be showing you today is to back it up over multiple different hard drives. It's my personal nightmare to lose a client file, so I like to cover all of my bases. I back up 4 different times, all to different locations, so that I have backup after backup after backup. So I've already done that on this file. Next thing I'm going to do is come into Lightroom, where I am right now, and I'm going to create a new catalog. So the way that I do that, when I'm already in Lightroom, I come up to File, New Catalog, and I select a location to save my catalog. I've already made a new file folder for the client. Here, I'm going to double click on it. This is one of my backups of their original raw files, and I'm going to name this Lightroom Catalog and save. So it's going to open up a new catalog here, and as you can see, it has nothing in it yet. So the first thing that I have to do is come over to Library and select Import. Now I'm going to select their file, and it's slowly going to find all of the images. There we go. Now I've got all of the images selected, even all of our test shots and photos of Trevor here. And I'm going to, first, I almost forgot. Up here in keywords, now if you're not using keywords yet, you really have to. It makes such a big difference to your SEO online. So I keyword every single image in Lightroom before I export it, and I usually start by adding them here on the import. So I have some standard by location. I'm going to put them all in now. Anything that applies to my business or this particular wedding, I like to put it in. As well as the venue itself. In this case, it was Berkeley Church, which is incredible downtown. Alright, so I'm going to stick to that. So now when I upload these images, every single file is going to have these keywords already embedded in them. I can add more specific ones to each image itself as well, like ceremony, reception, things like that. But I don't like applying them to every single image because it seems like a cheat to me. So now I have all of my images selected, I have some keywords done, and I'm going to import. There we are. So I thought this would be a good file to show you this on because it's actually one of our smaller ones this year. This was a very short 6-hour day for us, starting with the ceremony. We didn't do prep or anything, so it kept the file size down really low, so it shouldn't take us as long to get through it. Okay, so I've got all of my photos uploaded, and the first thing to do, I always go over to, here we go, and I sort them by capture time. Now this is really important. If you shoot with a second shooter, you should, before every single wedding, make sure that your camera clock is identical to both cameras. You would think that you would only have to set it once, especially if you're using the same cameras, but apparently that's not the case. We find that after a week, our camera clocks are usually off by a couple of seconds, which isn't a big deal, but when you're trying to keep everything in chronological order, I'm really anal retentive, and it really bothers me if photos are even just a little out of order. So we reset our clocks before every single wedding, and then I set my sort to capture time. The next thing that I'm going to do is start the culling process. To do this, I make sure that I am in library, and I like to be in loop mode. So if you see little thumbnails of all of the images, it can be hard to see them all. So just, if you're on a PC, I'm not sure about Mac, but PC, you just hit E on your keyboard, which will bring you into this loop mode so that you can see each image larger. So I jumped ahead of you a little bit here to get past the more boring photos, as we just got our lighting and everything, not to mention practiced photos of Trevor and I, which are terrible, terrible photos. So I put you into loop mode so that you would see larger images while you're culling, so that you can see the details and everything. So I press caps lock on my keyboard now, so that when I flag images, if you have your caps lock on, if you flag or unflag, then the program will automatically advance you on to the next image. It saves time. It seems minimal, but it really adds up when you're going through thousands of photos in one gallery. So to flag an image as one that you want to keep, you press P. You press P. There we go. And to pass an image that you don't want to keep, you press U. And I'm going to go back because I do want that one. So now I go through images very quickly, pressing P for ones that I want and U for ones that I want to get rid of. and it makes the culling process so much faster, and every second counts in these cases. Oh gosh, we don't need those ones. Whew. All right, so you can see how we go through our culling process. The faster, the better. And now I'm going to cancel or stop this video, and we'll pick it back up once I've gotten through all of the culling. Alright, so I have gone through and done the culling process. From start to finish, it probably took me a total of an hour to go through the 1,500 images and culled them down to 700 and some odd photos. So from this point, I'm going to actually go up here to View and Sort again. And for the next part, I'm going to change from capture time to edited or added order. Sorry, no, file name. Sorry. There is a reason for this, which I will go through with you in a minute. And the next thing that I'm going to do is go over here to develop. And first, I'm going to come down here where I have no filters on, and I'm actually going to switch it to flagged. So now all it's going to show me down here are the 739 photos that I flagged as keepers. And next I'm going to come up here to presets, and I have user presets here. It's actually empty right now, but I want to add some presets. Now I have to go through this every time I start a new catalog, which is a bit of a frustration, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to come up to where I have my presets saved once my drive gets going. It had fallen asleep on me, so it's just taking a minute. There we go. Don't mind my messy folder here, Lightroom. Alright, so now I'm just going to select all of these. These are the regular presets that I use. I'm going to open them, and they're going to upload under my user presets here. There we go. And I'm going to come back. Alright, so from here I'm actually going to scroll to an area where all of my edits should be very similar. I'll show you why in a second. So sure, let's start here. We're going to start with this is the bride's father. He's giving his speech. So what I'm going to do is apply my go-to preset here, and then I'm going to make the adjustments to it that I always make. You just have to bear with me for a second. And this goes back to how I said that I'm a bit anal retentive. I hate when these numbers are odd numbers. I like them to be fives. Alright. Now I'm just going through these edits really quickly. I'm not going to explain my reasons for changing them the way that I have. But oops, to do. There we go. Alright, there is a very quick and quick edit that I've done. So from here, what I'm going to do is right click on the image that I've edited. I'm going to select Develop Settings and Copy. And it's going to give me this Copy Settings pop-up. I make sure that everything is selected except spot removal and crop, because I don't want that applied to everything. I'm going to copy, and now I'm going to go through and select all of the images that are taken under the same circumstances, so they're lit about the same. I'm going to right click, develop, and paste settings, and now it's batch processed all of the following images in the same way. Now there are some minimal edits that I'll have to make, some tweaks possibly to some of them, and I'll go in and do that afterwards. But doing this has allowed me to edit the photos as a whole batch, which has really cut down on the time that it takes me to go through them all. Now, that being said, of course there are some one-offs that I'm going to have to individually edit, and that can't be helped, but this at least, it really cuts down how much time it takes to go through them all. The reason that I went into View and changed the sort to the file name is because now all of my photos are in one grouping, and Trevor's, as you can see, here's the end of the night. And now Trevor's have started at the end of mine, because if, here, I'll show you, library, I'll come back here and show you. Go back to capture time. Alright, so as you can see here, if I had it still sorted by capture time, then mine would be mixed up with Trevor's, depending on what time they were taken. And while I like that as my final result, while I'm batch editing, if I have them all mixed up like this, then I have to be more careful going through and individually selecting only the ones that I took, and then I have to do Trevor's separately. So doing it this way allows me to batch edit my own files, and then I can go through and batch edit Trevor's all together. So let's see how this goes. So again, I'm going to use my preset, change my settings. And because I've been doing this for a while and using these presets, I have a pretty good idea of the changes that I make to each one. Alright, well, let's say I like it like this. Again, I'm going to come into develop settings, copy, and then I'm going to scroll over for all of the same photos. I'm going to shift and select them all, develop, paste, and then they should all be batch edited, sorry. There you go. Now again, I have to go through each photo individually still to straighten them out, because it drives me mental if they're not. And I'll still look at every image and tweak them just a little bit if necessary. But overall, this process has saved me so much time. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to edit these photos, and then I'll take you through the next step. Okay, so I'm back already. I fibbed. I decided that it'll probably still take with this processing system about 3 to 5 days to get through all of the images, once I factor in having to take time to do other things. And I want to actually post this tutorial on my blog tomorrow, so it's not really going to work for me to edit all of them unless I pull an all-nighter, which I don't like to do because then I get really grumpy. So for Trevor's sake and for the kids' sake, I'm going to not pull the all-nighter, and I'm just going to pretend that I edited all the images and show you what I do next. So pretending that all of our images are done, my next step is actually to come back to library, and then I would make sure to go back to view, sort, and turn it back to capture time. Because once I export the file to get it ready to give to the client, I want it to run in chronological order so they get the full storyline as the day happened. So I've turned it back to capture time, and pretending that the entire file was done, I would next go to export. I would find the correct folder that I wanted in, select folder, put in subfolder. I usually name them final. Then I rename to client's name and numbers. I make sure that it's being exported as, what am I doing? I make sure that it's being exported as a JPEG. And that it is at 300 pixels per inch. I make sure that my keyword tags are the way that I want them, and then I hit export, which I'm not going to do in this case, but what would happen next is it would export the entire file in numbered order. From there, I bring each file up. No, I don't, I lie. From here, I go through each of the photos in a slideshow. I tag any of the ones that I think need a little bit more editing in Photoshop, which is a little more customizable. So I would bring them all up individually. I would edit them in Photoshop, save them all, and then from there I put them onto a USB or a client gallery online to prepare it for my client. I think that's about it for now that I'm going to cover on this process, but all in all, I would say that it's probably reduced my turnaround time to about 8 weeks, down to 2 or 3 weeks, and that is, of course, doing other business things between doing files. So the change in turnaround time is significant. It has allowed me to take care of client files as well as everything else involved with running a business, and still having time to put everything aside at the end of the day to spend time with my family and my kids, which isn't really something that I was prioritizing before, and it was hurting everybody. So I really, really encourage you, if you're a photographer, to go through your process and make sure that your workflow is effective and allows you to still have a life outside of your business. I know a lot of photographers, their business runs them as mine used to run me, and that doesn't make anyone happy. So go through your workflow, see if any of my techniques can help you as they've helped me, and please let me know if you have any workflow techniques that are an improvement from mine, because I would love to hear about ways to make the process even quicker. Thanks.